How's it going, everyone? Wayne the Unknown here, and welcome back to another episode of Cosplay Contacts. Get to know that cosplayer, where we also discuss everything pertaining to the cosplay community and conventions. I'm joined here by Myron, aka Smoove Cosplaya, and another segment for Get to Know That Cosplayer. How are we doing, Myron?
I'm doing great, man. How about you?
I'm doing good. I haven't said the intro for that for Get to Know That Cosplayer in so long. It feels long, but it's just been like a few months.
Dude, I've done the same thing before. Like I'll get out of practice, like doing my own channel, doing my own interviews and stuff. Like the beginning will be fine. And then when I do my little spiel at the end, I'd be like, wait, what's my
Yeah.
normal outro? What do I normally say? As if I
Uh,
didn't make it up myself, right?
but again, thank you for coming on for this cosplayer interview. I'm sure by now you're familiar with how these go. So to begin,
Yeah.
how long have you been cosplaying for? When and what got you into cosplaying?
So actually next month, it's August now, right? August.
Yeah, we're in
Yeah,
August.
next month will mark my 10-year anniversary of cosplaying. I
Whoa,
started at Dragon Con 2012. That was my first con and my first time cosplaying.
nice. Well, congratulations on finally making it as a cosplay veteran.
Thank you, thank you.
As I state to anyone who reaches their 10-year mark or who has been cosplaying over for 10 years, which before I continue, will be made into a sticker and a button coming soon to my shop next year.
Nice, nice.
So, what was it like going to Dragon Con back in 2012?
Let me see. So actually, I procrastinated with going. It was 4 years in the making. I think I first kind of caught wind of it in 2020, 2008. So my job at the time was we had just moved locations. We used to be in another area of Atlanta, and then we moved to what's called Harris Towers, which is right above Peachtree Center MARTA station. That is right smack dab in the heart of everything that happens related to Dragon Con. I believe that's right above the food court that everybody hangs out at.
Oh, you mean that big
So
building with the sky bridge?
yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So it's right on top of that. And what would happen is, so my job, I worked at a help desk for law firms. So because lawyers are workaholics, that meant that we only got Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Day, New Year's Day, and our birthday off. All the other holidays, notice I didn't say any Eves, no Labor Day, no Memorial Day. And then my birthday's in December. So all four of those days that we guaranteed get off are all within 2 months of each other. Anyway, so that meant that um, Monday of Labor Day, if you didn't purposely take off, you were at work. So between being there Friday of the con, because Dragon Con is every Labor Day weekend, between being there Friday, being there on Monday, I would see the overflow of all the cosplayers being out, just being out and about. And I'm like, what is this? I need to get in on this. And it also didn't help that a lot of my coworkers, we're all fellow geeks. So we either they're fellow geeks or they attended Dragon Con, worked at Dragon Con, things like that. So I kept hearing about it and I kept seeing it. Now procrastination set in because okay, first year it snuck up on me. So 2009, I was like, dang, I meant to do it and it just kind of snuck up on me. And I also my other hobby slash passion slash addiction is salsa dancing. So I've been uh, dancing since 2002, teaching it since 2007. Um, so every year I would go to two or three, just like, most people go, most cosplayers and convention goers, they go to several conventions, several cons a year. I would go to several salsa congresses a year. Basically, without me getting into a long spiel about it, if you take any Comic Con, take away the panels and replace it with various dance classes. Take the rave, the masquerade, whatever you want to call it, take that away, replace that with watching all the big time instructors and performers, watching them perform at night. And then about 11 or so, whenever they get done with the performances, they kick everybody out the ballroom. They move the chairs and there's the hardwood on the floor. They bring everybody else back in. You dancing hard from like 11 till like 3, 4 in the morning.
Oh
It's
wow.
really just the same setup, just replacing the geekiness with nerdiness. Anyway, I say that to say I would go to several of those every year, and that's what also kept me from going to Dragon Con those first few years, because there was something salsa related every Labor Day weekend, and also in September there's the San Diego Salsa Festival. There's New York Salsa Congress. That I just realized that New York Comic Con, San Diego Comic Con, we got New York Salsa Festival, San Diego Salsa. I mean, I don't know what it is about New York and San Diego. Anyway, so I finally stopped procrastinating in 2012. I had previously put together a costume for Snake Eyes from GI Joe back in 20. I forget when I forget when GI Joe Rise of Cobra came out. I think it was 2009. GI Joe was one of my big fans growing up. I always loved Snake Eyes. So when the movie came out, I'm walking through Walmart one day because I'm still a big kid. Anytime I walk through Walmart, Target, whatever, I gotta walk through the toy section. It don't matter. Like no matter how old I
I
get,
mean,
I
I
still
mean, I
do it.
mean, you kind of have to at this point.
Right, right. So I see a mask, a Snake Eyes mask, and that visor that he wears, you never see that anywhere else, right?
Mm-mm.
Like it's not a man-made thing. It's not something that anybody in the military actually wears. No actual ninjas wear it. But I saw it. I'm like, wow, I always wanted to wear that. There it is. But the bad thing was it was one of those really kind of little kitty looking Halloween type masks, because you had the visor, but it had the forehead and the mouth too. So it was just like a just half
Oh,
face mask, right?
the half
Right,
masks.
right.
Yeah, I know what you're
And I
talking
was
about.
like, I want that, but I can't do that. I wasn't even thinking on cosplay level at that point. I was doing it for a Halloween costume. I'm like, I can't look like I'm trick or treating. I can't do that. Then I remembered that my roommate had these heavy duty scissors at home. Like they had like the serrated edges or
Oh,
whatever. I'm
I
like,
know what. Yep, I know which one you're talking about.
yeah. So I'm like, if anything could cut through that hard plastic, it got to be that. So I went and bought it. I cut it off, and I basically just had it. It had a elastic and Velcro on the back, so I was able to just kind of put it on. So I did that I wore it for a Halloween party, and it was a salsa Halloween party basically. So I wore that. I had just some black sweatpants, a black compression shirt, and I didn't know what it was called at the time, a balaclava, I
Yep,
believe.
yeah, balaclava. Yep.
I made a balaclava I took a black t-shirt and cut one sleeve off for the bottom. And obviously I shaved my head bald now, but back then my hairline had not yet started receding.
Oh,
So I used to wear a wave cap because your boy's waves was nice back then. Anyway, so I used that as the top of the balaclava. So I'll send you the picture later, but it was a very makeshift um, costume. Nobody knew who I was, but I kind of didn't care. So I had that already. But having seen everything at Dragon Con, well, having seen everything on the outskirts of Dragon Con, I was like, I gotta come with it. I can't half step with this.
yeah. Go big
I
or go
fell in
home, right?
right. I don't believe in that now as I've matured, but back then I was like, yeah, go big, go home. Everybody watching at home, don't buy into that. Do what you
Mm.
can, do what you can afford, do what you're willing to do. Don't let these thugs at home tell you that, oh, you gotta go hard or go home, or that you gotta like go big, that you gotta do all this crazy
Do what
stuff.
you can with
Just
what you
do it.
got.
Exactly. So I preach that. At the same time, I am grateful that I thought that way, because it did inspire me to make my costume better. So I went to the Army surplus store. It was actually one down the street from my job. So I upgraded it that way. So I went to the con, and I did not expect to get stopped for pictures as much as I did. Like, I'm not going to say like that I couldn't move or that I got more pictures than anybody else, something like that. But it was a surprising amount. I was like, okay,
The
I
feeling that
think
you gotta admit the feeling's nice though.
right. Yeah, it is. It is. Like I don't like if certain cosplays I have, I know nobody's going to recognize, and I'm cool with that. I'm cool if nobody ever asks me for a picture. But yes, it does feel good. It does. It's a little bit of validation. Like I don't need that, but it's nice to have it. It's like icing on a cake.
Oh no. So Snake Eyes was your first official cosplay, and
Yeah,
back and almost 10 years ago. So basically both Snake Eyes and Dragon Con were both your first cosplay and your first
yeah,
convention.
exactly.
Nice. Have you free no it's a question I usually ask later on in this. Any advice because I've asked this before, who's also for someone who's attended Dragon Con. Any advice for someone who's thinking about going to a big con for their first con?
Hmm. I almost kind of I feel bad saying this because this is very much a do as I say, not as I do kind of thing. I kind of want to say don't. I had no idea what I was getting into going to Dragon Con. Like all I knew was I I guess I had heard of San Diego Comic Con in general, but it wasn't really on my radar at the time. So when I went to Dragon Con, I was just like, I need to go to this particular event. I had no idea how big it was. I had no idea how chaotic it was. I did not realize I was throwing myself in the fire.
Oh yeah, by that
So
time, Dragon Con is like started getting really big.
yeah, I think it started getting a lot more chaotic by then. I mean, I didn't have a reference point for it by then, but yeah, from what I hear from people who have been going for years, yes, it was a lot less back then. So so yeah, I'm not going to say don't do it, but just know that if when you go to a bigger con, it's not, don't use that as your barometer. I made that mistake. I went to Dragon Con. Actually, it was the only con I went to for the first 2 years, 2012 and 2013. It was the only thing I went to. I didn't know about anything else. That's just all I knew. Um, it's the only one I went to in 2014. Now 2015. No, in the 2014, I went to um, it was New York WinterCon. New York WinterCon. It was in December of 2014.
Never heard of that
Uh,
one.
yeah, I think that was the first year they ever had it. So it was supposed to be 2 days. It ended up just being one day. And so I'm walking around. It's all on just one floor of. It was like a casino in New York that it had it at. So it was just on one floor of the building. So I make a lap around it in about a good 10-15 minutes. I'm like, that's
Yeah,
it. And
small
that's
cons like that usually don't take too long to walk around. I mean,
yeah,
I'm not like harping. I'm not harping on any small cons
yeah,
because
same,
all the
same.
small cons for those who are listening are fun to go to.
Definitely,
But
definitely. One big difference between that and the kind of like Dragon Con, me and my big long 6'6" wingspan, I can't do this at Dragon Con. I cannot stretch my arms out without
no,
touching
you're
somebody.
probably like kind of
Yeah,
like chicken wings.
yeah, and don't have a big elaborate set of armor or some wings or whatever. Like that's hard. But yeah, that I made the mistake of thinking, dang, this is supposed to be like Dragon Con. Like, no, no. So and again, that's no diss to small cons. That's no diss to New York WinterCon
Mm-mm.
specifically. It was just a shock of, oh, this is normal. What I
Yeah,
came
that.
from is abnormal. That's the outlier.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah. So I went to Pensacon a few months later in 2015. This was their second year having it. Same thing. I started. That's what made me kind of realize, okay, let me dial back my expectations a little bit. You know,
So
Dragon Con is its
you
own
started going
monster.
to smaller cons then afterwards.
Right, right. Yeah, and you know, it's uh, a trade-off there. Like at smaller cons, like you got room to breathe, you got room to move. It's easier to get to catch up with your friends. Like if you any con like Dragon Con,
Mm-mm.
if you don't make a deliberate point
You're gonna
to
be
get
you're
with
gonna
your
be playing.
friends, like if Wayne, if me and you gonna meet, if you and I are gonna meet up at Dragon Con, we
We're
have to
gonna.
say, hey Wayne, at this day, at this time, in this place, we are meeting no matter what. And
Don't
even
want to
then, it
play a
might not
game of
happen.
don't want to play a game of Marco Polo.
Because you'll have friends that you haven't seen in years, and you mess up and not see them at all at Dragon
Uh,
Con, and then you got this random person you just met, you see them 5 times at the same con. It's like, yeah, if you don't make a pointed effort to meet up with your friends, you might not see them.
that brings me to another question. It's actually something I've added onto it.
Mhm.
Would you recommend bringing a convention exit buddy with you, whether you're going to your first con or you just don't want to go by yourself? Would you recommend bringing like a buddy with you, so that's just in case things get a little out of control at the con? You're like, hey, let's go elsewhere.
Yeah, yeah. I would recommend it. Again, it's another, I feel bad saying this because I'm a parent and I don't want to do this to my kids. Again, it's another do as I say, not as I do kind of thing. Because
Mm.
I personally, I'm a big introvert. And while I like being with people, I like the freedom of just being able to kind of walk around and do my own thing. So I don't show up to the con with a buddy. I don't show up to the con with a clique or crew, entourage, or whatever. I meet up with people once I get there, but eventually I'm like, hey y'all, I'm gonna go do this thing. Also being an introvert, I gotta recharge my social battery at some point.
Oh
So I'm
yeah.
like, let me go be off to myself for a little bit. But I do see the benefit of having an exit buddy, like especially if you, I don't know this by experience. I just know that it's a thing. It's a serious thing. If you have any kind of anxiety, if you got any kind of anything that might get triggered by big crowds, a lot of chaos, stuff like that. Like for instance, my wife, she doesn't have anxiety, but she came to Dragon Con with me once, and she came to New York, Pensacola. No, not Pensacola. Not New York, Pensacola. Pensacola is not in New York. Dang it.
Mhm.
Uh, when I went to Pensacon for the first time, she came with me. She was fine there, but when she came to Dragon Con with me later
It
that
was a
year,
culture
because
shock.
yeah, I think because she had promised to come with me to Dragon Con, so she went to Pensacon with me to kind of get warmed up to it. I mean, to some degree it worked, but still, it was like it's just too much. It was
Oh
too
no,
much
it,
for her.
it, it can be,
Yeah,
if you're so used to going to the small cons, medium cons, then
uh-huh.
next thing you go to big con like Dragon Con, San Diego Comic Con, Rooster Teeth Expo, you're like, I
It's a
mean,
lot. Yeah.
hell, I remember hearing how packed Anime Expo was this year. Holy
Mm,
shit. Yeah, no, yeah, and again, there's like nothing, like you said, there's nothing wrong with not wanting to have a buddy, but at the same time, if you have like social anxiety or something, it doesn't hurt to have like that friend say, hey, can we,
exactly.
like, I'm not like feeling so great. Can we just like go or something kind of thing?
Yeah. If especially if you find it hard to make that escape yourself, like you need somebody to kind of say, hey, we here. Look at
Yeah.
me. Hey, let's get centered. Let's get together. Okay, now let's go. Like I can imagine somebody being by themselves and being in that situation.
hmm
It might cause a panic attack. It might be like, dang, what the
hmm
fuck do I do? Like, how
Oh
do I get
no.
out of here?
No, exactly. And it's, sometimes it's good, sometimes, it's not
Yeah.
needed, but yeah. And you kind of answered this question a little earlier. If you want to go more, what are your thoughts on thrifting if you're a cosplayer on a budget or a first time cosplayer?
Oh yeah, cosplay on a budget all day, dude. Like I call myself a costume assembler as opposed to a costume maker.
Hey,
I've only
preaching to
made
the choir here, man.
right. I've only ever made one cosplay. I made the vast majority of my reign from Mortal Kombat. Like
Such a
I
good
made.
cosplay, by the way.
Thank you. It's crazy. The original version, actually both versions of it, because I've remade it once, and both of them were made out of a yoga mat. Um, the
Hey,
first one was made.
it works.
It worked, yeah.
If you don't have
The
EVA foam, yoga mats are a great substitute. I mean, they're thicker, but they
exactly.
work.
Yeah. So a yoga mat. It was actually my wife's old yoga mat. I was like, hey, I know you're not using this one anymore. Can I use it? She gave me permission for it. So I cut that up. I've added some craft foam to it. So the tabard, I think, if I'm using that term
You
properly,
are,
the torso
you are.
piece.
Yeah, you are.
And I sewed together I'm not gonna get this part right, but the waist part, and then the part that kind of drops down. It's not a loincloth, but that's the thing I can think
I know
of.
you're no
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
what you're talking about. He has like the belt, and then he has like the things in the back and front or on the sides. Yeah,
right,
I know
yeah,
exactly what you're talking about. I just can't remember the name. I'll probably have to look it up
yeah,
so I can like
same.
put it in it.
Yeah, so I sewed those together. I'm very basic in my sewing skills. I can sew a straight line, maybe a large curve, and that's it. So sew those together, made the tabard. Everything else I bought the mask off of Etsy, bought a balaclava, took a t-shirt, and cut the sleeves off, and I put Velcro on the collars so that way the balaclava isn't exposing my neck every two
That's a
seconds.
pretty clever idea,
Um,
though.
yeah, for those of y'all, if y'all try that at home, make sure y'all put the more rigid, sticky part of the Velcro here, because when you're trying to put that mask on and then that stuff starts sticking in your neck and scratching and itching you, make sure the soft part is on the part that's facing in. Make sure the hard part is facing out.
Pro
I made
tip.
that, but yeah, I made that mistake before, and it don't feel good at all. But yeah, that's the only thing I've made. And then of course, when I turned that one into the ninja formerly known as Rain, when I found in doing my research for Rain, I was like, let me see if there's anything I don't already know
Oh,
about this character.
Your Prince Rain,
Yeah,
Purple Rain.
I found out that Rain was named after Prince. So I was like, I gotta do this at some point. I gotta mix them together. So I made the guitar. I call it the Fatality. It's Rain's no, it's Prince's guitar. I made it out of some foam and uh foam core board, and I got somebody to 3D print the Mortal Kombat logo, and I put that there in the center of it, and I put some LEDs around it.
For those
Um,
wondering, there'll be a better picture, but here is
yeah,
that is I gotta say, I for a minute I thought that guitar was real for a minute.
wow,
It looks
that.
it looks pretty convincing.
Well, thank you, thank you. I actually got the Purple Ranger. Shout out to Billy Light, the Purple Ranger. So he did a mashup of Power Rangers and Prince. So he
Nice.
basically took Jason the Red Ranger, got the helmet but made it purple. So he has a guitar just like that, but he made it. It's made out of I forget what he made it out of, but it plays music and everything. So he was gracious enough to let me trace his guitar to make mine. So I made mine black instead of purple. I'm like, hey, I still need to make mine distinctive. I don't want it to look like I just straight copied him verbatim. Um, so made mine black, put the LEDs around it, put the Mortal Kombat symbol on it. I got off track. I'm talking about making things. We were talking about thrifting. Yes.
Yes,
So that's
sorry.
the only thing I've ever actually made. Everything else, I like I said with Snake Eyes, I went to the Army surplus store, got a lot of stuff. I'll find this thing on Etsy, I'll find this thing on Amazon, I'll find this thing on just finding the right parts to put together to make your costume look good. I eventually do want to be a foam smith. I do eventually want to do better at sewing, crafting. Once we move into a house and get a dedicated room for my crafting, I'll get into 3D printing. But y'all don't let a lack of skill keep you from doing something. You know, you got those naysayers out there who say you got to make everything from scratch.
YouTube's
It's
your
just
best friend too.
yeah, right. It's yeah, YouTube as well. Yes, but I'll just say, you know, that's just elitism. If the people that tell you you have to make everything yourself, so where are we drawing that line at? Like I cosplay as Rude from Final Fantasy VII. All I gotta do is throw my suit on. Are you telling me I gotta make that suit from scratch?
Oh God,
Right?
that just
If it those
no.
of y'all that do makeup, are you making yours makeup from scratch? Are you like yeah? You see if we keep going down that line, you see how ridiculous it
We call
gets.
that gatekeeping.
Yes, and I hate it with a passion.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
so yeah, you know, shout out to everybody who can make stuff themselves. I aspire to do that. I am not knocking people who make things themselves. I
Mm,
am knocking the expectation that you have to make it yourself.
no,
Even
no.
people that make things themselves, like sometimes they ain't got the time for it.
Mm-mm.
Sometimes they are like, hey, I just don't feel like it. So I'm gonna go get it off of AliExpress. I'm gonna go have somebody on Etsy make it for me. And it's still
Exactly.
valid. It's
I
still
mean,
valid.
even there are even cosplayers who make their own cosplays where every now and again, like you said, they're like, I don't have time for this, so I'm gonna pay someone to make it for
Right.
me because you know the conventions is in so and so days. And yeah, to another question, you mentioned your wife. Does she has she ever cosplayed with you before at any cons?
She has. Okay. Big I'm gonna try to make this as short a story as possible. But so she always respected the craft. She always respected the fact that I did it. I was even showing her a video I made from BlurredCon that I just went to a couple of weeks ago. And as I was showing her what I did, she was like, "Yeah, I love how everybody just kind of came with it. How everybody just did their own thing with their costumes. Everybody showed up and showed out. So she respects the hobby, but she was like, "Hey, you got that. That's you. I'm not touching it." And
At least she supports you, man. That's all that matters.
yeah. So she supported me, and I was content with her never doing it with me. One day she trapped herself. I was we were getting ready
Story time.
for story time. Grab some popcorn. So this was right before DragonCon 2014. Also about 3 or 4 weeks before we got married. So I'm doing something. I forget. I'm probably fixing something on a costume. So her friend, shout out to Shay, her friend Shay, she's gonna come up later. Shay is texting my wife to text me for advice for Shay's friend who wants to go to DragonCon for the first time. So she gets tired of the back and forth, being the middleman. She's like, look, you get Shay's number, y'all text back and forth. I don't want to be a part of this. Meanwhile, anytime she wants to talk to one of my friends about something, she always has me be the middleman. So I'm like, oh, so now it's under the foot. You don't want to be the middleman. Anyway, that's the only ounce of petty I had in me. I have to tell that part of the story every time. Anyway, so as I'm texting back and forth with Shay, my wife says, and to this day, she does not know why she said this. She doesn't have an answer for it. She says to me, tell Shay that if she dresses up and goes to Dragon Con, I'll do it too. Little did she know, Shay has a geeky side to her that she didn't know about. So she said yes. So she backed herself into a corner on that one. So by itself, I'm like, yes, I got her. Without even trying, I got her. That we could stop there. That would be enough.
That's perfect.
I was fine. I was fine with that. However, a few weeks later, we're at the wedding. We're at the altar in front of God and family. We are exchanging vows. She closes her vows with, and I promise to cosplay with you at Dragon Con 2015. I look at the crowd, I'm like, y'all heard this, right? This is legally binding now, right? So she agreed to do it. And she said, you know what, I'll do it, but I'm not having anything to do with getting the costume together. That's all you. And I'm like, I got no problem with that. I get to make sure it looks good. So I'll send you the picture again. So similar thing, but this is her as Storm.
Nice.
So this has been the background of my phone ever since we got this photo back.
Nice. Well,
So,
I mean, there's a fun experience on that one.
Yeah.
Now we're getting to my favorite part, and I think anyone who listens is their favorite part. We're going to talk about some of the cosplays you've done over the years.
Okay.
So I gotta ask before I continue, who is that one character you're cosplaying? You sent me it for the thumbnail. They had the trident and the blue dreads. Who was that?
Okay, that's Mermista from the remake of She-Ra. She-Ra and the Princesses of Power.
Okay. Did you make that or?
So the only thing I made from that was, so the wig, I bought the wig, and it was a hard time getting that wig too, because what I've kind of done
It
with
looks like
any
it
characters.
looks like a detailed wig too.
Yeah. So it came fully made, but I did the coloring on it. So I dyed it with acrylic ink and alcohol. So I got some turquoise ink. I would have done it a lot fast if I knew then what I know now. I could have done it faster with a lot less ink. But I think I made the mistake of using too much alcohol in it. But yeah, it still came out. It still came out good. So I did that. My friend Joe Colton Cosplay. Big shout out to Joe Colton Cosplay. She made basically the whole actual clothes of the costume, the gauntlets, the shoulder pads, and the belt. And Carol, I forget her Instagram handle, but I'll send that to you. She made the trident. So she has an Etsy shop. So she made it to where you could take it apart basically for travel. So it's
Oh,
in
nice.
three
So it's
parts
like
there.
comes in like to bottom, middle, and then upper.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, see,
Exactly.
I think that's like the best thing to have. If a weapon can come in out of multiple parts, not having
Yes.
to like look at. Oh, we got. Oh man, 10 minutes. This may be a two-parter.
Yeah, I've been doing the same thing. Like recently, Zoom has made it to where, normally as long as you didn't have more than 3 people, you could go
Yeah.
forever. Now, no matter what, it cuts off at 40 minutes.
So everyone who's watching this is maybe a two-parter. So we're gonna probably ask a few more questions and then continue probably next time for like another 10-15 more minutes.
Cool, cool.
um yeah. um so continue about the your Mr. cosplay. What else went into it?
Let's see. So yeah, that one, I got into the new She-Ra. I actually like it. I came up on the original as an '80s baby. I was born in late '82, so I was big on He-Man and She-Ra. When it first came out, the remake, I was like, I don't think I would like that, because I'm coming off the heels of seeing. Actually, never watched it, but remember Thundercats Roar? They did that. So that was like the second remake of, yeah. So the second remake of
The
Thundercats.
the
So I
creators, sorry,
exactly,
the
yeah.
the
So I
creator the
saw that. I
cre-
saw that. I saw the previews of that. I'm like, and then I saw. So when I saw the previews of the art for She-Ra, some of that art reminded me of that, and it reminded me of. I'm not knocking Steven Universe, but I'm just not. I'm not a fan of the art style. So some of the art when I first saw the previews for She-Ra reminded me of those two. So I was kind of off put for a minute, but then I picked it up and I was like, wait, this art looks so much better than what I thought it was going to, and the characters are so much more interesting. The characters in the original, they all look like, okay, with She-Ra, there's only like one or two male characters. Everybody else is women, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think they did this for simplicity's sake with the toys. They made them all look the same. They're basically all white Barbie dolls. They all look the same, but you got a lot more diversity in this one. Like Mermista, okay, headcanon for me, Mermista's black, but she could be black or she could be Indian, one of the two. She's brown. We'll say that she's brown. Glimmer is a little. She's not fat, but she's a little chunky. Bo's a black guy as opposed to a white guy. What's the name? Perfuma is like real slim and hippie looking. Frosta is like this really short Asian girl. Like they went,
Reference.
yeah, there we go. So they just, and they got a whole lot more body types, a whole lot more ethnicities. Spinnerella and Natasha, yes, those are some really cheesy names, but Spinnerella and Natasha, they're wife and wife. Bo has two dads. There's a character named Double Trouble who's a shapeshifter, and they're very clearly non-binary. Like all these things are in there, and it's not even a thing. Like nobody says anything about it, which is how it should be. Like these two characters are gay. This character has two dads. This character is non-binary, and it's just it's never verbalized. It's just there on the screen, and it's normal, right? So that on top of the fact that the story was more interesting, the characters more interesting, the diversity was there, and it was just amazing. With Mermista, I gravitated towards her because she's hilarious. She's like really, really nonchalant, really blunt, really like sarcastic, really like dry humor or whatever. So she's fun in that sense, but she also represented a fear for me. Like for all intents and purposes, I can't swim. I would love to be able to, like, I can propel myself through water, but I've never had to tread water. I've never been in water that I couldn't stand up in. So I love seeing the ocean. I love seeing water. I would love to be able to like just be free and have full control of my body in water. I am not there yet.
I would
So
love to know how
seeing
Namor
her,
Cosplay it does it with this Namor cosplay.
ooh, yeah, that. Whew.
Yeah.
But yeah, so seeing her do that, and plus, she can transform into a mermaid. She has hydrokinesis, all of that, and she's just full command of her movement in water. And I'm like, I wish I could be that. So between her being a brown girl and all of that, I was like, okay, that's the character I'm cosplaying as. So then she has a not boyfriend. There's a guy, Seahawk. So Seahawk in the original, he and She-Ra kind of have a thing. He's that kind of suave, uber masculine, swashbuckling guy out on the seas, like a pirate. He's like a Han Solo kind of character. But in the remake, he is like head over heels for She-Ra, and not She-Ra. He's head over heels for Mermista, and Mermista's just ignoring them the whole time. But
Like whatever.
deep down, you can tell she likes them, and it kind of comes to play towards the end of the series. But like, so me, a friend of mine, big shout out to Kitty Cat Giggles Cosplay. She did a gender bend of Seahawk. So she
Nice.
did the gender swap of Seahawk. I did a gender swap of Mermista. It originally was just going to be the two of us, but then she had a bunch of friends who also did She-Ra characters, so we got together at MomoCon and just had a big She-Ra group. It was tons of fun.
Nice. We got 4 minutes. I think I'm going to end this right now for part one. And
Okay.
for those who are listening, we're going to do part two. In part two, we're going to talk more about the cosplays. Also, we're going to talk about what it's like hosting your salsa dances at conventions. Because I want to dive more. I want to dive into that. And
Definitely.
by then, I'll be able to I'll be able to have the premium for Zoom, so I won't have to see this thing anymore.
Yeah,
So,
Zoom is being a hater right now.
oh
That's
yeah.
why we're doing this. Yeah.
So, I hope you all enjoyed part one. And then in next week, next time we'll be doing a part two, which will be combined into one whole video. So again, everyone, thank you for listening, and until next time, thank you for watching. So we're now doing part two. I do apologize. Again, this video is going to be made into one video. I wanted to continue talking about more of your cosplays and everything. So we just got to talk about Mirror. What was her name from Shira?
Remista, yeah.
Okay, Marissa. Okay. So another cosplay I wanted to ask about. I remember Royalty Cosplay was talking about how you guys did
Yeah.
a Princess Jasmine and a Jafar Sith and Jedi collaboration. What was that like?
Yeah. So yes, big shout out to Royalty Cosplay, one of my besties, one of my cos besties. So Sith Jafar came, it just kind of hit me one day. We were at my mom-in-law's just kind of chilling. I'm in the room because we just drove 5 hours. So I'm just kind of laying there. My mind starts wandering. And I think, okay, I love seeing all of these um, Jedi Disney princesses ever since, Disney acquired Star Wars, so everybody's been doing Jedi versions of this Disney character and that Disney character. I saw, what's the cosplayer's name? Amber Arden, I believe she did Snow Buffet, and then she had a whole legion of
Yeah,
Disney characters.
I have seen her her Mandalorian Snow White.
Yeah,
Really
yeah.
well
So she
done,
got,
by the way.
yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's like she had a whole squad of Mandalorian Disney characters. So I thought, okay, I want to jump in on this. What do I want to do? So I started thinking, okay, maybe I should do a Jedi Disney prince since there are so many Jedi Disney princesses. But then I started thinking, none of the Disney princes really like stand out to me. Like other than say Aladdin, can you like try to name a Disney prince?
Prince Charming, Beast. I mean, yeah, there's not really
Right.
a
Right.
whole
I mean,
lot.
they're out there. Like if we sat and thought long enough, we'd come up with some. But the fact that we had to sit and think hard,
Mm-hmm.
whereas you can just name a whole bunch of princesses right off the bat, right? So I started thinking the only one I would really be interested in would be Aladdin, and then that's when it hit. Ooh, let me do a Jedi Disney villain. Let me do a Sith Disney villain.
Even
So
better.
right. So I thought of Jafar. So this one along with um the ninja formerly known as Rain. Both of these ideas, I sat on them for like 2 years because so with ninja formerly known as Rain, I was like, how can I make this guitar work? I sat and looked for people to try to commission it. And either I couldn't find somebody to do it, or I could find somebody, but it was too expensive for me, or I could find somebody, and by the time I had the money to pay them, they were ghosting on me. Like I couldn't get in touch with them. Same thing with Sith Jafar, I originally wanted to do like Count Dooku's lightsaber. It had the curved hilt,
Right.
so I wanted to do that and have the curved hilt be the snake head. It was always going to be a reverse grip lightsaber, but same thing. I couldn't find anybody to commission it, and even one guy, I found him and I asked him, "Hey, how much would it run me to do this?" And he said, well, I'm not really into mashups," and I'm like, you don't have to be into mashups. I'm the one doing the mashup. Like, are you? So you gotta not do this because you don't like mashups? Okay, whatever. You don't have to take my money. So with both of them, let this be a lesson to y'all at home. You don't know what you can do until you try it.
I mean,
And
that's pretty sound advice right there.
yeah, so with both of them, like I made the guitar from scratch, but with Sith Jafar's lightsaber, I basically bought a
Really cool lightsaber, by the
yeah.
way.
Thank you, man.
I don't know
Thank
how
you.
I don't know how you got it accomplished, but it was really well done.
So it was I made it a whole lot more complicated than it needed to be. So once I actually sat down and did it, I'm like, oh, this is it. So I basically bought a lightsaber from Ultra Sabers, and I had somebody 3D print the snake head. Big shout out to Fun Orders on Etsy. He actually made both the snake head for Sith Jafar and the Mortal Kombat logo for the guitar for Ninja
Shout out
formerly
to
known
him.
as
Shout
Rain.
out to them.
Yeah, so he is a big reason why these mashups came to be. So I took the Cobra head and I super glued it to the end of the lightsaber hilt. Took the blade out of the hilt, and I primed them both, painted them both in gold, and then put the saber back in, and that's how it happened.
Nice.
So there's
And
that
you guys got,
that I
and you and
took.
Royalty got some pretty good photos from what I've seen and from her
Yeah,
interview.
yeah, man. We did so Dr. Law's Photo Lab did a few of them. When for me solo, I did actually I got a part of the this Disney Jedi crew. I mean, we're not the only Disney Jedi crew out there. I mean, there's tons of them out there.
Oh yeah.
But when I posted my progress pics in the I think the Dragon Con group for because it was about this time that year. No, I want to say midsummer that year. I posted my pictures there, and then there's I believe her cosplay handle is dang it, her name's Nikki, but I don't know if I can't remember her cosplay handle right now. Anyway, I'll send you pictures. So she was like, "Hey, we got this Disney Jedi group going. Do you want to join in?" I'm like, "Heck yeah, I do," because I would have hated finding out after the fact that there was a big Disney Jedi group and I couldn't join up. Because if you dress from a certain fandom or whatever, you want to see other people from the same fandom.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
So yeah, so we ended up doing a shoot together that Sunday. This is Dragon Con 2018. So she was Jedi Pocahontas. I was Sis Jafar. Her now husband did Prince Philip. There was a Sleeping Beauty. There was one of my favorites.
I swear I've seen a picture of this somewhere before.
I think so. If it's not the same one, I'll send it to you. The only bit of Photoshop I know how to do is make lightsabers on it. So I took the group picture and just put lightsabers on everybody. There was one of my favorites is a Jedi Ariel. So she had tried it. Yeah,
I've seen a Jedi. Well, not the one you're talking about, but I know someone who has done a Jedi Ariel. Continue.
No problem. So yeah, so she did a trident, and each end of the trident was a little small lightsaber.
Nice.
Her husband did Prince Eric. Then there's Bethy Gould cosplay. She did a Jedi Belle. So she took, I'm probably going to say this name wrong. My wife, who loves everything French related, is going to roll her eyes. She's asleep right now. She's going to roll her eyes in her sleep for me saying it's wrong.
Like,
Lumiere,
how dare he pronounce that?
Right.
Lumiere?
Yes. Yeah. So the little candle from Beauty and the Beast. So she had a lightsaber of Lumiere. So the middle one was super long, and the other two
so cool.
yeah. And she had a little stuffed beast, like I think it was Chewbacca. So she had Chewbacca being Beast. Yeah, it was just so many different creative takes on it all.
I love
so
it.
we're actually getting the band back together for this Dragon Con. So like there's a ton of them. There's a Jedi, there's a Jedi Mirabelle coming. There's a Jedi, what's the character from Frozen? The snowman, Olaf. Olaf. Yes. Oh, my friend who did so when I did the Gender Bend Mermista, my friend who did Gender Bend Seahawk, we initially met through the Disney Jedi group. She was Jedi Anna, and she had a friend who did Sith Elsa.
Oh.
So yeah, yes. I love I can't remember her cosplay handle either, but like this was a good accident. So she left her original boots at home. So she had these really sick like thigh high boots on with hers.
I know the kind you're talking about.
I was like, yes, yes,
girl.
Yeah, I don't know. Big more power to y'all, ladies and femmes, everybody who wears heels. More power to y'all. I don't want. Oh, definitely. I don't know what. I want no parts of it, but y'all look amazing. Oh. But yes, I'm a sucker for knee highs and thigh highs. So yes, Sith Elsa was amazing. All of them were amazing though.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting everybody back together and everybody looking dope as hell.
Now since I asked about those cosplay shows, those are probably my favorite. What's that one cosplay you haven't done in so long that you would like to bring back? And I finally got some. Okay, and then my computer's now finally not slow anymore. So yes, the one cosplay you haven't done in so long that you would love to bring back.
There's one I almost brought it back at. So there's a yearly cosplay party here in Atlanta called Hair of the Dragon, and I believe it's
Ooh.
like a halfway point between the halfway point between like Dragon Con and the next Dragon Con. I think that's why they call it Hair of the
So
Dragon. I
like
don't
like
know.
like an interlude con.
I guess, yeah, that sounds about right. I could be completely off, but that's what makes sense to me. That's what I think it is. Anyway, it's like a photo shoot party. So basically, you pay a certain amount just to get in at the door, and the photographers pay to take pictures there, and you basically however many costumes you can fit in that amount of time.
So like a
You
cosplay
go
fashion show.
kind of sort of like, well, you just have photographers set up at different booths or whatever, and then you have some roaming photographers as well. So if you pay to get in, and you just go to each individual photographer and get photos with them, and if you got time and you are able to change it to another costume. So basically, if you got a lot of cosplays that you don't have good pictures of, that would be a good place to go to finally get some good pictures of. I bring that up to say I was going to bring back this particular cosplay at that one, but I ran out of time, so I didn't get a chance to get into it. But it's the only the third cosplay I ever did, but it was also my second mashup. It was I mixed Jules Windu from no, I'm sorry, no, that's the name of the cosplay, Jules Windu. So I mixed Jules Winfield from Pulp Fiction with Mace Windu from Star Wars because they're both Samuel L. Jackson characters.
Oh yeah.
So that one, so after Snake Eyes, I did that, and I did the name isn't going to sound profound. I did Django Fett, but Django was the D is silent Django.
Mm-hmm.
So I mixed Django from Django Unchained with Django Fett from Star Wars because they.
Yeah, you were telling me that in the
Yeah,
POC. You were
yeah,
telling me that in the POC cosplayer podcast panel a while back.
right, right. Yeah, so that one I
Really
kind of
well
came
done
up.
too.
Thank you, thank you. I did. I came to say that because I was
Oh, okay. You were saying about the the Django with the defect.
right. So I did both of those. Those are only my second and third cosplays, and I did them both in 2014. Because being at Dragon Con, I'm not saying that you don't see anything creative at any other cons, but especially at Dragon Con, you get exposed to so many different takes on characters, so many mashups, so many original ideas. So I'm used to seeing that from the jump. So like my mind has always been open to doing all that craziness. So I did both of those in the same year. I've worn Django Fett a few times since then, but I haven't worn Jules Windu as much. So that's one I definitely want to bring back. Um, I want to bring that one back. One is just because of the shot value. Because when I first wore it, I kind of got all these different reactions from everybody. Funny story. I actually hadn't seen Pulp Fiction in its entirety before I came up with that idea. I always knew different references. Like I could tell when something was referencing Pulp Fiction, but I hadn't seen Pulp Fiction. So I was like, you know what? I can't let the people down. I got to watch the movie before I dress up. And one thing I didn't know about the whole idea that Samuel Jackson had engraved "Bad Mother Effer" on his lightsaber.
Yeah.
So I'm walking around the con, and everybody's like, "What's your lightsaber say?" And I'm like, "What? What's your lightsaber say?" Nothing. Does it say "bad motherfucker" on it? I'm like, no, but I got the wallet. I got the "Bad Mother Effer" wallet. Does that count? So from that point on, I just got a label maker and put "bad motherfucker" on it because I was
Nice.
like, I can't let the people down no more, you know. But I didn't have the right color. Nobody noticed this. It's something only I care about. His suit in the movie is just straight black, but the only dark suit I had, other than the navy blue one, was like it's like a off black, really dark gray. Nobody could tell it wasn't black at the con, but I cared. So eventually, I got a black suit, and
Which is the one which is the one you wore for your rude.
yeah, yeah. Actually, I got a new one for Rude because Rude has the new version of Rude
Mm-hmm.
has like a belt chain, and because the suit that I have, the blazer is a regular and not a short, it covers up the belt chain. So I actually got it the cheapest but still good, the least expensive but still good looking suit that I could find, and I got it in it with a short blazer, so that way I could let the chain show.
Nice.
But yeah, so same one that I originally used for Rude, I used for Jules Windu. I had to get a different wig because I've put some weight on since then, and my old wig is too small for my head now. So that was about 30 pounds ago.
Man,
But yeah, so yeah, I want to bring that one back soon. I'm not sure when I will, but it'll
nice.
happen.
Now, one more question about another cosplay. Um, before I ask you about your future cosplays, what's that one cosplay that it was kind of a one and done cosplay? Like you did it, but you weren't really feeling it. Like it was cool to wear, but it just wasn't you, or just didn't feel like you should ever do it again.
There was one that is one and done, but it wasn't because of me not feeling it. I just haven't had a reason to pull it back out yet. Well, I had a reason, and things just didn't line up. I did Cottonmouth from Luke Cage. Um, so big shout out to my man Dominican Night Cosplay at Dragon Con, I want to say 2017. He put together a Marvel Netflix photo shoot. So basically everybody from the Netflix series was showing up. And I thought, okay, do I love Luke Cage? Yes. Do I want to do Luke Cage? Yes. But everybody, their mama and their grandmama is going to be Luke Cage. Everybody, their mama is going to be Elektra. Everybody, their mama is going to be
Oh,
Daredevil.
the guy who's gonna be playing as Blade soon.
Yeah, yeah. Mahershala Ali, if I'm saying his name right.
Yep, Mahershala
Yeah,
Ali. Yep.
yeah. And that was the reference picture that I used. So I ended up. So I was like, you know what? Everybody's going to be all these other
Oh,
characters. There's going to be tons of Luke Cages.
and
There's going
here's
to be
his
tons.
comic book look for anyone who's wondering.
Is that? Yeah, that is him.
That's his Cottonmouth snake. So I just typed in Cottonmouth from Luke Cage, and that just popped up.
I got you. Okay, okay. The reason why I paused because I think there's a second Cottonmouth, and I wasn't sure if it was that one or not because there's a Serpent Society out there
Oh
in
yeah,
the
and
in
here's
comics.
his other comic book where he looks like a pimp, basically.
Okay, I think those are two. I think those are two different characters. I think
Okay,
that the other Cottonmouth. I remember them being in an old '80s issue of X-Men, and
okay.
like so everybody was different. So Cottonmouth, Bushmaster, and again those same names got used in Luke Cage, but they're different. I think y'all don't. I'm gonna look this up later. I think they're different characters, but I could be
You're
wrong.
probably, who knows? But anyway, he was like a one and done because why?
So I decided to do Cottonmouth because again, I was like, okay, I'm very anti-cliche, meaning if everybody else is doing this, I'm probably going to do that, right? So instead of being one of 30 Luke Cages or one of 50 Iron Fists or whatever, I was like, let me go for somebody nobody's really checking for. And it was the best decision I made all day. I was the only Cottonmouth there. There was a couple of other villains. There was two kingpins there and two Purple Man. What's his Killgrave. So it's funny. We got all the villains together. We took a picture together, and it just looks like the dopest villain.
Nice.
It's like
Gotta see a picture of that.
yeah. It just looks like a album cover. Like all the Netflix villains made a rap album, and it was like looks like the cover of that. So yeah,
Nice.
it's funny I say nobody was checking for Cottonmouth, but me being the only Cottonmouth there, everybody ate it up. So and now, funny story with that, the pants that I wore for that, I didn't realize until it was too late that my fly was broken on those pants, and I borrowed a friend. I borrowed a bazooka from a friend in my GI Joe group because like there's that scene where Cottonmouth blows up the convenience store.
Hmm.
No, the restaurant that Luke Cage is in. So I was like, okay, I got to have some kind of prop to, because otherwise I'm just some sharp dressed dude. Nobody would recognize me. But I went to Party City and bought a crown. So I'm actually wearing that same crown in that picture. It's kind of caught to the side, the same Biggie Smalls crown.
Hmm.
So I have the bazooka and I have the crown. So everybody recognizes me as Cottonmouth, but I'm insecure about my fly being open. So what I did was anytime somebody asked me for a picture, I put the bazooka right here and I just kind of stood straight up so nobody could tell that my fly was open the whole time. Still to this day, if people don't hear me share that story, they don't know that it happened. But yeah, so I meant to bring it out because I meant to bring it out a second time because Mike Coulter, Luke Cage, was actually at Dragon Con and I got a chance to meet him.
Yeah, I remember you were
And
telling me that too, I believe.
yeah, the bad thing was my costumes, my photo shoot schedule didn't line up for me to be able to wear Cottonmouth while I went to go meet him. Because I think my photo op with him was on a particular day, and I was already set to do my domino, and I was part of a group cosplay that day, so I had to do my domino, and it was the only like my second time doing the face paint, so it was going to take me a while to get into it. So it wasn't like I could put it on and take it off a few minutes later and get back into it. I was like, okay, once I get into this, I'm in it. So I got a picture with Luke Cage dressed as Domino when I really wanted to be Cottonmouth. But so yeah, it's one and done, but it wasn't one and done because I didn't like the costume. It just didn't fit with anything else I was doing.
You know, there's nothing wrong with. Damn it, my friend of Fred. I do say that a lot in this series. There's nothing wrong with. Future. Okay. We got like a few minutes here to go. Think, brain, work.
I think.
Oh yeah. Real quick. What's it like doing your salsa dances at
Yeah.
cons?
Okay. Yes. That's amazing. I love doing that. So that started. So the first year that I went to Dragon Con, I already knew a few of my salsa friends that were going, like one or two of them, and when I went the first year, I started seeing it wasn't a whole lot, but it was enough to where it got me thinking. I saw more of my salsa friends there at Dragon Con. I'm like, wait, you guys are geeks too? Like what? So already from the first time going, I'm realizing both of my worlds are intertwining, right?
It happens more than you
Yeah,
think. There's a lot of closeted
exactly.
nerds out there.
Yeah, and I think we all get so used to thinking that you can only like this thing, you can't like that thing. Like we're all a mix of things that don't normally go together. That we're just trained to think they don't go together. So like I like salsa. I was just telling my friend the other day. I was at a bachata pool party yesterday, and I'm telling him how normally I don't have to. I'm having to choose between doing salsa and sometimes doing con stuff. I'm also a UFC fan. Most of the UFC fights happen on a Saturday night, but that's also when the big salsa events happen. And because the main event for anything at UFC starts after midnight, stuff with I can't go and then go to the other because I'm the big part of either one of them. Anyway, I say all that to say, we all have a lot of hobbies that typically don't go together, but if we don't stop and talk to each other, nobody knows that. So, but yeah, a lot of closet nerds, like you said, a lot of people who were going to both. So I started thinking, okay, I want to mix these two things together at some point. So I actually wanted to put together like a big salsa party at Dragon Con. I think we did it once, not a party, but we got together in one of the lobbies of one of the hotels because we had seen some people do that with swing dancing. I would see like one of the cosplay music videos after the con, and I'm like, wow, they're doing swing in the lobby of this hotel. We should do that with salsa. We got shut down. I don't know why. We got shut down at one time. So I started thinking, okay, so I saw at MomoCon that somebody was doing ballroom dancing as a panel. And I thought, let me do it too. So I proposed it, actually submitted salsa and bachata. They only accepted bachata the first year. So I'm like, okay, cool. That's a start. And I got a free pass for it anyway. So I expect, okay, I'm probably only going to get 15 to 20 people show up. There was more than 50 before the thing was
Yeah,
over.
I saw pictures on your Instagram. There was a
I
lot.
was
There's a
like,
lot of people.
wow, like that blew my mind. I did not think it was going to be that good. So it's grown every year. Sad thing is the attendance has grown and my room has shrunk. So the first year I had this huge room, which would have been perfect for any other time that I did it. But every year after that, they put me this like a room less than half that original size, but I got more people than I had the first time. So I'm like, y'all, we're going backwards. Why are we doing this? Anyway, but yeah, it's amazing because like I figured I call it geeks can dance too because there's that stigma that geeks can't dance.
I love that. Just like the movie White Man Can't Jump.
Right, right. There's quite a few who can. There's quite a few who can. But yeah, like so there's a stigma. I mean, there's enough people to make the stereotype true for each of them, but like that doesn't mean it's true for all of them. And there's geeks who can dance, there's geeks who can't but want to, and if you actually taught them, they could. So I figured, hey, let me bring something different to the con. Let me get me a free pass in the process, and give the people something that they're not used to. And every year has been a hit since then. So I'm as long as they keep having me back, I'm gonna keep doing it.
I'm hoping to actually go to one of these days. Three more things. Is something I try to always remember. Future cosplays. What are like top 3, 5 cosplays you haven't done yet that you would love to do?
Okay, so I got a few that I might actually make happen pretty soon. Now, when I say pretty soon, I mean within the next couple of years. So it's not too soon. I got super ambitious after my first year, my first time going to Dragon Con. I had cosplay on the brain, right? So I'm thinking, okay, what can I do for next year? What can I do for next year? And one of the ones I thought of doing was Archangel from X-Men.
Ooh.
Now, I had no idea how much anything with that would cost because like I didn't want his wings to be cute and playful looking. Like they needed to be big and menacing, right?
Right.
So I finally found somebody that could commission them. And I thought, okay, I'm probably gonna drop $200-300 or something. Nah, that
I don't
it
mean to
was like
laugh, but
it was no, I would laugh too. It was about a good 1,000 or something. I was
oh
like,
shit.
whew. I was like, it's worth it. It's just that I'm just not willing to pay that right now. But recently I found a seller on Etsy that kind of makes sets of feathered wings, and I saw that they can make some of the wings out of foam, and they look close enough to where they can make it look like I don't know if you ever saw. Oh yeah, you probably have because I know you've been doing the X-Men series on your channel. When X-Men Apocalypse, you know how Archangel looked there?
Yeah, he had like metal wings
Right,
and
right.
everything. Yeah, yeah. No, I know which ones you're talking. I haven't.
Yeah.
I refuse to do podcast review on that just because the timeline. But I did see his
Yeah,
wings. They're like metallic wings, and he looks all like
right.
he looks like a metalhead punk rock type. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so I found so that same company on Etsy that does the feathered wings, I've seen them do like EVA foam. I don't think it's EVA, I think it's a different material, but um I'm like, okay, I could stretch that to make that look like it's Archangel's wings from X-Men Apocalypse. And plus, if you see Archangel in the comics, his wings are never drawn the same twice.
Mm-mm.
So if it wouldn't be a stretch to take those wings and just have them be like a metallic painted color and then just use his costume. I want to do the not his original Archangel costume where it was like that blue and kind of magenta color. I
Mm-hmm.
want to do the Uncanny X-Force version where it was black and silver. So the wings, and what I really like about this company is that when you look at the video for the product,
Thank you for letting me know
they're
I got 10 minutes left.
yes. So they're in a you see them being pulled out of a box, which let me know that so if you pull them out of the box, all you have to do is unfold them. I think they're kind of like on a wire or whatever. So I was like, oh, so not only do they look good, I can actually fold them up and store them somewhere later, which is gonna be good for me now because I still have my cosplays taking up they used to take up half my kids' closet, but now that we got a 3-bedroom apartment, now they're taking up all the space in the office closet. so that's gonna work. So Archangel from X-Men. I also want to do this. So my dream cosplay. Please don't nobody steal this from me. Um, on all other times, I don't care about, nobody owns a character, right?
No one.
I'm not, I don't care about doing a character somebody else has already done. I don't care about doing a mashup that somebody else has already done as long as my design looks different for somebody else's. That's just my own personal rule.
No, there's nothing wrong with it.
If yeah, yeah,
There's nothing wrong with that.
yeah, like if somebody else copies a mashup I did verbatim, more power to them. I want to get pictures with them when I see them. It's just for me, I'm not going to do something that is already out there. It loses the feel, the what
The
am I trying to say?
imagination.
Yeah, it loses the shock value for me. I lose motivation to do it if somebody else has already done the exact thing I'm planning on doing. But my dream cosplay is I want to take a set of Iron Man armor. And are you familiar with Wu-Tang Clan at all?
I'm I'm familiar with. I haven't listened to them in years, but I'm familiar with Wu-Tang Clan.
Okay, Ghostface Killer from Wu-Tang Clan. They, you know, Wu-Tang, all of them have different aliases or whatever. Ghostface's alias was Tony Stark, of course, which is Iron Man's full name. So, and so he calls his first album Iron Man. And at first I didn't catch it, but I'm like, oh, I get it. So I've always had this dream of taking a set of Iron Man armor, but having it be black and gold instead of red and gold, and having that arc reactor be the shape of a Wu-Tang symbol.
So basically, Wu-Tang Man or Iron Tang.
I still haven't come up with
That's good.
the good name.
The concept is good, but the name's like you said, it's not going to be. It's going to be that's gonna
You
be a
know,
hard one.
okay, I got it. So you know how Iron Man would have different types of armor. Like
Mm,
he got his Hulkbuster armor, he got his
mm,
Mark whatever number armor, he got his Thor killer armor.
mm.
So we're gonna call this uh, his 36 Chambers armor, because that was the name of the first Wu-Tang album, Enter the
Nice,
36 Chambers. So we'll just call it Iron Man the 36 Chambers armor.
nice.
Again, don't y'all steal this from me.
All right. So we got to end this really quick because it's the timer showing.
Dun, dun, dun.
Any last minute advice you like to give to anyone out there who is, wanting to get into cosplay, wanting to go to their first con, stuff like that? Any last minute advice you like to add in?
Yeah, for those of you who are just getting into cosplay, wanting to get into cosplay, just do what makes you happy. I say that because, there's always the chance that somebody on the internet is going to not like what you do. Somebody's going to say, oh, well, you did this super popular character. Why don't you be more creative? And then you go be creative. And then somebody else says, well, you strayed away from the source material. You're not accurate. You're not canon, blah, blah, blah. You can't make everybody happy, and you will run yourself ragged trying to make everybody happy. So you might as well make yourself happy first, and everybody else will follow in line. They can like it or they can scroll on by. So, because this is an expensive ass hobby. So don't waste your money trying to make everybody else out there happy. Spend it making you happy. And I mean, that's where a lot of your fun and peace is going to come from. Like, again, you can't make everybody happy. You're going to have so much stress. You're already going to have stress trying to make the costume or trying to find the right piece to buy, or you waited too long to buy it and now it's not there. That just happened to me the other day. I want to do Jax from Mortal Kombat eventually, and I found the pants for his Mortal Kombat 3 costume, the black and purple pants. I
Yeah.
found them on Heroes Time, and now they're not there. That's going to happen. So things like that are going to stress you out.
It'd be
You
cool
might
to
as
see you
well.
do Jax.
Yeah, thank you. I finally got the courage to try to do the arms out of EVA foam. So I'm probably going to do that at some point before the end of the year. But yeah, stuff like that is going to happen. You're going to stress yourself out enough already trying to make stuff work. Don't stress yourself out trying to make anybody else happy but you.
No,
So yeah,
I 100% agree on that. In all reality, you should be doing it for you.
yeah,
I
do
mean,
it for you.
if you want to do it for others, there's nothing wrong with that. But in all actuality, if you want to do it, go for it. And then there's gonna be a lot of trial and error when it comes to, especially when it comes to making your first cosplay, whether you're
Yeah.
piece by piece or you're building it from the ground up. I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like I have to wrestle with this a lot myself. Like I want something to be right the first time. I don't want to do trial and error. I don't want to experiment till I get it right. I want it to be right the first time, but it doesn't work like that. That
Mm-mm.
wig, that Mermista wig, I spent more time on it than I wanted to. But yeah, just know that don't let your perfectionism get the best of you. We all have it. We all want it to be right on the first try. We don't want to spend too much money on it. We don't want to spend more time on it. Just understand it's going to happen. And sometimes you got to be okay with good enough. There's plenty of costumes that I've had to upgrade over time. Everybody does it. Don't be ashamed to do it. Just know that if you get it right the first time and it's perfect the first time, cool. It might not happen. Don't count on it happening. And you'll be a whole lot better off knowing that and accepting that. And I have to
Oh,
again, I have to 10 years into it, I have to keep reminding myself that. So yeah.
oh, most definitely. Again, Myron, thank you for coming on. I I'm getting the 2 minute, the 3 minute window here. Thank you for seriously, thank you for coming on to share your cosplay convention experience, and also, by the time this comes out, you'll be past your 10 year. Again, congratulations on being a 10 year cosplay veteran, man.
Thank you, Wayne. Thank you, man, for having me. Thank you for doing this, for spotlighting cosplayers, for giving hope to everybody else out there. Because I know everybody else that's been on before me has had their own stories to share, their own pieces of advice. So all of that is giving back to the community. You do a lot of not just the interviews. I remember being on your panel about just the POC cosplayers, and like you wanted to be an ally, you doing your part to help spread awareness, you doing your part to help shed light on things and educate people. I really appreciate that. You're doing a good thing out there.
Thank you, man. I've been no, I really like this. I'm glad, a lot of people are enjoying this and everything, and I'm hoping to, do more, and yeah, maybe someday have being on an actual panel talking about this kind of stuff would be nice too.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Well, I think that should do it again, Myron. Thank you, and to those out there for watching, I'm Wayne the Unknown. Thank you for watching this episode of Cosplay Contact. Get to know that cosplayer. As always, thank you for listening, and until next time, thank you for watching.